You need to get out there, Sal. Have a little fun.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you?
Almost 3 decades after the original film first hit theaters, Warner Brothers has released the first full trailer for Practical Magic 2. For longtime fans, this is not just another sequel. This is a return to the Owens family. Sandra Bullock is back as Sally Owens, Nicole Kidman returns as Gillian Owens, and Diane Wiest is also returning. The sequel is clearly trying to reconnect with the emotional spell that made the 1998 film last so long. The original was not a huge box office monster, but over time it became something stronger, a cult favorite people revisit every fall like a warm drink with a dangerous secret inside. That is why this trailer matters. Practical Magic 2 arrives 28 years after the first movie, and it looks like Warner Brothers is not treating it as a simple nostalgia play. The new film is inspired by Alice Hoffman's novel The Book of Magic, and the story appears to push the Owens family mythology far beyond the Massachusetts home that fans remember. This time, the family is facing buried truths about their bloodline, the source of their powers, and the curse that has haunted Owens women for generations. The sequel takes place 25 years after the events of the first movie. That time jump is important because it allows the film to honor what came before while building a new generation into the story. Joey King plays Sally's daughter, and the trailer suggests that she will become one of the major emotional and supernatural centers of the sequel. She is uncovering dangerous family secrets, but at the same time, she seems to be developing dark abilities of her own. That is a smart legacy sequel move. It gives old fans the characters they came for, but gives the story a reason to exist now. Sally and Gillian cannot simply repeat the same emotional journey they had in 1998. They have to deal with the consequences of the family curse through a younger generation. And that is where Practical Magic 2 may find its strongest hook. What happens when the women who survived the old curse now have to protect someone else from it? The trailer makes clear this is not a small domestic mystery. The Owens women are pulled into a larger journey beyond their home and across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom. That shift suggests the movie is going deeper into the origins of the family's magic. Instead of only dealing with the effects of the curse, the sequel may finally force Sally, Gillian, and the next generation to confront where it began. That is the kind of expansion a sequel needs. If the movie stayed inside the original's comfort zone, it could feel like a pretty reunion without danger. But by sending the Owens family toward the source of their power, Practical Magic 2 is giving itself a bigger mythological canvas. The question is whether it can keep the intimacy of the first film while making the world feel larger. That balance matters. The cast is a major reason to pay attention. Bullock and Kidman returning together is already a major event. Their chemistry was a huge part of why the first film found its audience. Sally and Gillian were very different women, but they felt connected by history, pain, loyalty, and the messy emotional language that only siblings understand. Bringing them back decades later gives the sequel a chance to explore how those relationships age. Joey King adds a younger perspective, and the supporting cast is surprisingly strong. Lee Pace appears to be playing a charismatic witch, which already sounds like exactly the kind of role that could steal scenes if handled well. Stockard Channing and Diane Wiest bring the original and energy back into the mix, while Maisie Williams, Zolo Maradwega, and Solly McLeod help expand the world around the Owens family. On paper, this is a cast built for magical drama, not just empty franchise branding. Behind the camera, the movie is directed by Suzanne Bier. That choice is interesting because Bier understands emotional tension, character drama, and darker psychological material. Her work includes Bird Box, The Night Manager, The First Lady, The Perfect Couple, After the Wedding, and In a Better World. Practical Magic 2 needs someone who can handle romance, grief, supernatural danger, and family conflict without letting one piece flatten the others. The screenplay comes from Akiva Goldsman, Georgia Pritchett, and Kelly Marcel, adapting Hoffman's world. That creative mix could be promising, but it also raises the big question every legacy sequel faces: will this feel like a natural continuation? Or will it feel like a brand being revived because nostalgia sells? That is the line practical magic has to walk carefully. The trailer leans heavily into family, romance, mystery, and supernatural atmosphere. It clearly wants fans to feel the pull of the old magic again. But it also introduces a more dangerous conflict. The Owens curse has always been the emotional engine of this world. Love is never simple for these women. The family's power comes with history, trauma, and consequences. Now, the sequel appears to be asking whether the curse can finally be broken before it claims another victim. That is a strong dramatic setup because it gives the movie emotional urgency. This is not just about witches looking stylish in candlelight, although the movie knows that part matters too. It is about inherited pain. It is about what families pass down when they do not know how to heal. It is about the fear that your daughter may suffer because of a story that started long before she was born, and that may be why practical magic still connects after all these years. The first movie blended fantasy and romance, but underneath that, it was about women protecting each other in a world that often misunderstands them. It had comedy, heartbreak, sisterhood, and a little chaos. It was messy in the best way. Not perfect, but alive. The sequel has to remember that. Fans are not only coming back for spells, they are coming back for feeling. Nostalgia can be tricky. If practical magic relies only on the return of Bullock and Kidman, it may please people for a weekend and then disappear. But if it uses their return to deepen the Owens family mythology and gives Joey King's character a real emotional arc, this could become more than a late sequel. It could become a new chapter that earns its place next to the original. Warner Brothers releasing this movie worldwide in theaters also says something. The studio seems to believe there is still real theatrical value in this property, and that makes sense. Fall audiences love atmospheric movies. They love stories with witches, family secrets, old houses, romance, and danger. Practical magic has all the ingredients to become a seasonal event if the movie lands the tone correctly. Right now, the trailer gives me cautious optimism. It has the returning stars, the expanded mythology, the generational conflict, and the kind of supernatural mystery that can pull both longtime fans and new viewers into the story. But the real test will be whether the sequel captures the emotional texture that made the original survive for 28 years. You can copy the candles and the coastline. You cannot fake the soul. Practical Magic 2 is set to arrive in theaters worldwide on September 11th, 2026, and I want to know where you stand on this one. Are you excited to see Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman return as the Owens sisters, or are you worried that this is one of those sequels that should have stayed in the spellbook? Because if Practical Magic gets the balance right, it may not just bring the Owens family back. It may remind Hollywood that some magic does not fade. It only waits.